Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. An outline on the history of Imam Jafar Sadiq. Abu Abdullah Jafar bin Muhammad was born, according to Yaqubi, second volume, page 381, in 8699 AD at Medina. Ibn Qalkan, first volume, page 327, and others also determine his birth from the event of Am al-Jaf in Mecca, which according to Tabari occurred in 8699 AD. According to the Arabic lexicon, Jafar means stream. His father had referred to him the best of all mankind and one in charge of the family of Muhammad. He is also known by the titles of Al Sadiq, trustworthy, Al Sabir, patient, Al Tahir, pure one, and Al-Fazil, excellent one. For the first 14 years of his life, he was brought up under the care of his grandfather Zainul Abidin. He observed the latter's act of clarity, his love for long series of prostrations and prayers, as well as the withdrawal from politics. He spent 23 years under his father and assumed the imamate at the age of 34 years. His fame for religious learning was great. According to Yaqubi, it was customary for scholars who related anything from Jafar Sadiq used to say, "The learned one informed us." Even Malik bin Anas, the famous jurist of Medina, is reported to have said when quoting Jafar Sadiq's tradition, "The Thika, Jafar bin Muhammad, himself told me that." Abu Hanifa is also reported to have been Imam's pupil for 2 years. Shibli Nomani writes in Sirat al-Noman that Abu Hanifa learned a great deal from Imam Bakir's son, Jafar Sadiq also, which fact is generally mentioned in the history books. Ibn Taymiyyah, however, denies this on the ground that Abu Hanifa and Jafar Sadiq were contemporaries and equals, which ruled out the probability of the Abu Hanifa being the student of Imam Jafar Sadiq. But I consider this sheer impudence and lack of comprehension on Ibn Taymiyyah's part. For all his greatness as an original thinker and master of fiqh, Abu Hanifa could not compare in learning with Imam Jafar Sadiq. The Ahl Bayt were the fountainhead of hadith and fiqh and in fact all religious learning. The master of the house knows best what is in it. To quote a well-known Arabic saying, Abu Hanifa also attended many lectures of Jafar Sadiq. In spite of many differences of opinion with the Imam, he was deeply influenced by him. Donaldson goes even beyond saying that he was one of Jafar Sadiq's students in the Shiite religion. The house of Jafar Sadiq in Medina took a real shape of a regular academy, where a galaxy of talented scholars of jurisprudence, traditions, philosophy, exegesis, and theology attended the studies. It was perhaps the first academy in Islam in respect of Islamic ideology, which Jafar Sadiq founded in Medina. The concourse of the varied minds in the Medina gave an impetus to the cultivation of science and literature, where a stream of unusual intellectual activity flowed towards other Islamic states and soon led to the growth of philosophical tendencies among the Muslims. The period of Jafar Sadiq saw the most crucial time of Islamic history, both in political and religious spheres. We will cast a rapid glance at the political upheavals of the period under review. Jafar Sadiq witnessed 3 years of the rule of Abdul Malik, the Umayyad ruler, 9 years and 8 months of Walid bin Abdul Malik, 3 years and 3 months of Salman, 2 years and 5 months of Umar bin Abdul Aziz, 4 years and 1 month of Yazid bin Abdul Malik, 10 years of Hisham bin Abdul Malik, 1 year of Walid bin Yazid, and 6 months of Yazid bin Walid, till finally the empire of the Umayyads ended in 132-750 AD by the Abbasids. It implies that the period of Jafar Sadiq may be said to consist of 2 parts. During the first part, while the Umayyads were in power, the Imam was engaged in teaching quietly at home in Medina. During the second part, the Abbasids were in power after the fall of Umayyads of Damascus in 132-750 AD. The Umayyad Empire was overthrown by the huge upheaval led by Abu Muslim Khorasani, and the Abbasid Caliphate came into existence with Abdul Abbas as Safa as the first caliph. Hence, Jafar Sadiq also witnessed the rule of as Safa and Mansur. In sum, Jafar Sadiq absolutely remained away from political arena. Ismaili history, year 377 BC. The origin of Caesanius. Heretofore, we have examined that Maqtar Thaqafi appeared in Kufa as a revenger of Hussein's blood after the event of Karbala. He failed to win support from Imam Zainul Abidin in his moment. He then turned to Ibn Hanifa, whom he declared as an Imam and a promised Mahdi. Ibn al-Hanifa did not repudiate Maqtar's propaganda and maintained a non-committal attitude, but his name became slogans for Maqtar to gain public supports. Maqtar was killed in 687 AD, and the death of Ibn al-Hanifa also took place in 81 700 AD. Abu Hashim, the eldest son of Ibn al-Hanifa, however, continued the mission originated by Maqtar, and his followers then became known as Caesanias. Various explanations are given to this name, but the Kaysan in question was almost certainly the man with the kunya Abu Amra, who was the most distinguished of the Mawali supporting Maqtar. The name was widely given to men of Alid sympathies during the later part of Umayyads' rule and was presumably a pejorative nickname first applied by opponents in order to discredit the group. Abu Hashim was poisoned by the Umayyad Caliph Hisham, but before his death in 98 718 AD, he quickly rushed to Humayma and bequeathed his right to the caliphate in charge of the Caesania sect to Muhammad bin Ali as he had no son. Ismaili history, year 378 BC. The origin of Abbasids. Abbas, the uncle of the Holy Prophet, had a son, Abdullah, who never tried to establish his own caliphate. Abdullah and his son, Ali bin Abdullah, resided in Humayma. It was Ali bin Abdullah's son, Muhammad bin Ali, to have taken the charge of Caesania's sect from the dying Abu Hashim. Thus, the house of Abbas inherited the party and organization of Abu Hashim along with his claims. Muhammad bin Ali led the Caesania sect and propagated in the name of Ahl Bayt, declaring that the caliph should be from Ali's descendant, and the Umayyads had no right to rule. It was mere an ostensible slogan to procure wide supports of the Alid and nourish future political ambition. Muhammad bin Ali died before attaining his objective and handed on his claims to his son, Ibrahim. He began to dispatch emissaries, starting with Khorasan, where the bulk of the Caesanias faction resided. In the meantime, the newly acclaimed Umayyad Khalifa Marwan sought to strike at the center of the whole movement by arresting Ibrahim. He is said to have strangled him, as Yaqubi writes, by having his head put into a bag of lime until he died. But Ibrahim had two brothers, Abu Abbas and Abu Jafar Mansur, both of whom escaped to Khorasan, and very soon these two brothers returned, supported by Abu Muslim's victorious troops, to lead the insurgents in their final struggle in the west. Their way had been prepared for them in Kufa by propaganda that had been carried on for more than 12 years. Ismaili history, year 379 BC. Abu Salamah's offer. In Kufa, the local representative Abu Salamah's Hafs, the Caesania's follower of Abu Hashim, known as Wazir Ali Muhammad or Minister Ali Muhammad, was very popular figure. When the news of the death of Ibrahim reached Kufa, Abu Salamah, on the suggestion and advice of some other Shias of Kufa, intended to establish the Imamat of Alids. Accordingly, he wrote letters to Imam Jafar Sadiq, Abdullah al-Mahad and Umar bin Ali Zainul Abidin, asking each one of them in turn to come to Kufa in person and he would support their claims of Imamat. The messenger was instructed first to contact Jafar Sadiq and only if he refused, and in case of his refusal, to Umar bin Ali Zainul Abidin. When the messenger presented the letter first to Jafar Sadiq, Imam Jafar Sadiq called for a lamp, burned the letter and said to the messenger, "Tell your master what you have seen." The messenger then came to Abdullah al-Mahad, who readily accepted the offer. Ismaili history, year 380 BC. Foundation of the Abbasid Caliphate. Meanwhile, things took a reverse turn for the Abbasid family. The army commanded by Abu Abbas and Abu Jafar Mansur had come from Khorasan to Kufa, where they found the city decorated in black, the accepted color of the Abbasids, and the people who crowded to the mosque also wore black clothes and black turbans with black banners planted in hands. Abu Salamah led the prayers, after which he announced that Abu Muslim had now made it possible for the world of Islam to shake itself free from the Umayyads, and declared that it was to his end that he called upon them to recognize Abu Abbas, the brother of the murdered Ibrahim, as the rightful Imam and Caliph. Abu Abbas mounted the pulpit and made his inaugural speech, in which he named himself as Safa, bloodshedder, and identified the glory of God with his own interest and those of his house. He named the Abbasids and the Ahl Bayt from whom uncleanliness was removed, and denied that the Alis were more worthy of the caliphate. His speech was followed by a speech from his uncle, Dawood bin Ali, who was emphasized that the rights of the Abbasids were legally inherited, and there were but two legal caliphs in Islam, Ali bin Abu Talib and Abbas as-Safa. He added that caliphate would remain in the hands of Abbasids until they passed it over to Isa bin Maryam. The excited crowd expressed their approval and gave their allegiance to Abu Abbas as the first caliph of the Abbasid Caliphate in 132-750 AD. Ismaili history, year 381 BC. Fall of the Umayyads. Marwan, the Umayyad Caliph, was at that time advancing towards Kufa with a huge army. He encountered the army from Khorasan at a point on the greater Zeb river, and the Battle of Zeb lasted for 2 days. It was closely contested struggle, and the day was turned when Marwan's horse ran away without its rider. He managed to escape, but was eventually discovered and killed. So fell the last of the Umayyads in 132-750 AD. The total duration of the Umayyads rule till the time when Abu Abbas assumed the power of Abbasid rule was 90 years, 11 months and 13 days. Highlights of the years 382 to 384 BC will be discussed in the next video. Stay tuned.